Hello there guys, this is Christy Lewis from Dostoevsky in Space, and today I'm going to be sharing with you all of the books that I finished in July and the books that I'm planning to read in August. So let's jump right into it. I hope that you guys enjoyed Kpop. By the time you're seeing this video, it's very nearly over. So if you didn't enjoy Kpop content, I hope you'll stick around because that was a really wonderful month, but it is almost over now. So thank you for hanging in there if that's not your type of thing. But regardless, let's jump into the books that I actually read. So, oh dear. So this is going to be a little bit tough. I have a giant pile. Ooh. Yeah, I thought that would happen. So I finished Pilgrims Progress by John Bunyan, and I rated it 3 stars, even though I think some of the content was like 4 stars. I just honestly didn't enjoy it that much. So even though there were some like great quotes and stuff in it, and as you can see, I did mark it up a bit, but yeah, it was just like a 3-star book for me. But this was for my short classics for charity book club, and I can tell you now as well that next year my book club is going to be life-changing nonfiction. That's going to be the new theme. But this was a decent entry, I would say, and I wrote it with Krista from Books and Jams, and we had a live show here on my channel, so definitely check that out if you're interested in hearing our more in-depth thoughts. This is following a Christian man throughout his life and death, and then it actually follows his wife throughout her life and death. And that was a real surprise to me. So there were moments that were really surprising. There were moments that were really poignant, and I just think that this is slightly off. I just think I would probably stick with a 3-star rating. I do want to read Pilgrim's Regress. Now that I've read Pilgrim's Progress, I do want to read Pilgrim's Regress, but I just haven't had time to pick it up quite yet. So there was that. And I also read... so the books, what I'm going to be doing now, since I don't usually own the books that I'm talking about, I'm going to show you their picture on my phone. Since I am not really editing these videos in particular, my wrap-up and TBRs. So I finished Saved by Benjamin Hall on audiobook, and he is a war correspondent who was injured gravely in Ukraine, nearly fatally. The 2 people who were with him in the car were killed, and this is his story of how a bunch of heroes basically came together to get him home, which was an incredible story. So really enjoyed that. He actually showed quite a bit of character growth as he was narrating the story, and that was really interesting. It was interesting to hear about his rehab from the injuries that he received, which were quite extensive. Yeah, on the back of the book, I wish I had that still, but it showed you kind of the extent of his injuries. He had I think he lost both feet and 1 leg, I think up to the knee. So there was quite a lot of recovery, and if you do look at this, extensive burns on his face and hands and stuff like that. So yeah, quite intense. I really enjoyed it though. Yeah, this is I use this for the Buzzy book on Tiffany's book bingo because it was so popular at the library. It took a long time for me to actually get my copies of it. So next, I DNFed a book called I Guess I Live Here Now, which is about a Korean American girl. Sorry, hang on. I'm just not feeling good today. So I'm trying to hang in there. So it's about a Korean American girl who goes to Seoul because her mom decides to move them there because her dad wants them to move there, basically. So it's like the motivations, by the time I DNF'd this, were still a little bit unclear as to why this all was happening, but basically her parents wanted her to move there, and she has like a really bad attitude about moving to Seoul. Yeah, and I eventually her attitude, I guess I live here now, that really speaks to her attitude, and I guess I just got tired of it. I really liked the writing and how it had a really strong voice. I just got really tired of her voice after a while, and maybe, again, that would change. I DNF'd this in, like, the Death Valley zone, right around, I think, 30%. So I didn't give it much of a chance to actually show character change. But I don't know, maybe the book was just a little bit too long, set in that period of, I guess I live here now. I don't know. She just really didn't have a good attitude. So I don't know. Next, I also DNF'd Camp Zero by Michelle Min Sterling. And I also picked this up because of the Korean affinities. This is a near future dystopian kind of story set in Canada. And again, I DNF'd it in the Death Valley zone between 20 and 40%. I guess I was starting to get the sense that this wasn't going to be a book about things that I cared about or really enjoyed. So it's set in a future of climate change where this author, she's basically hired to serve as a camp follower type sex worker in a camp up north that's run by Americans, but in Canada. And it just has this real tone of kind of, we don't like America or Americans. They're just coming here because they ruined their own land. And, I think probably some people would enjoy it, but it was just very bleak to me, and I wasn't enjoying it at all. Like, not the characters, not the setting, not the plot. It wasn't enjoyable. It was just really bleak, and I didn't find it super compelling either. There was no, element of compulsion, which is kind of what I look for in a book like this. I want to be compelled by the vision and the moral statement that the author is making, and I just really wasn't. So, DNF'd that. But I did finish A History of Korea by Kyung-Woon Hong, finally. I had one chapter of this left for a month and a half. But I finally finished it. I've annotated it. I'm very super proud. It's very short, yes, but I'm still proud because no audiobook usage, and I didn't even have an ebook to help me read it more quickly. Yeah, it was great though. I feel like this is very topical. I feel like it would be great to read in addition to a book like one that I'll mention later, which is called Banned Book Club by Kim Hyun-Suk. Yeah, I feel like it covers history. It sure covers Korean history, but it does so in a very topical way, in a very limited way, and it skips over quite a bit. But the timelines at the beginning are useful, and my annotations will be useful. There were certain names that were mentioned that I can go back to and look at my highlights about them. And I've already been doing that. Maybe I'll just talk here about Banned Book Club by Kim Hyun-suk, because that's going to be one of my favorite books of the year, and I think this probably will be as well. Usually the history books that I manage to finish end up being in my top reads, because it was worth the struggle, but it was a struggle. But regardless, Banned Book Club by Kim Hyun-suk, I'll show you a picture of that, is a graphic novel about a banned book club in South Korea during the year, I think, 1983, which was after the Gwangju uprising, which was there was a massacre where a bunch of student protesters were massacred by the government, and it was covered up, but there was enough first-hand accounts of video, photo, and written accounts that leaked out that this next generation of students who grew up in the decade after that happened, they heard about it. And unlike their parents, who had been basically beaten into submission by the government, these young students had a fresh wave of enthusiasm and determination to fight for democracy and freedom. And so this is about the generation of students who fought for democracy. And we're following, it's actually a memoir biography of a girl who went to college in South Korea during this period, and kind of her experiences, the experiences of her peers. Names are protected, so there's some fictionalization happening in the memoir just to protect the people that are talking. But yeah, she goes to a banned book club on campus, and she basically she wants to learn what is democracy, because her government won't tell her what it is, because they don't want her to know that she doesn't have it. They also won't actually talk about what communism is, because that's what they're most afraid of, is because the North is communist. And ever since the Korean War, the South has been and is probably still, I think, very fearful of communist thought. And so her book club, a lot of her book club has to do with learning what communism is, what democracy is, and kind of defining those terms, which is, I think, very appropriate for college age. So, but I think this book is for teenagers, which I think is also appropriate. There's nothing inappropriate in it. It does deal with difficult topics, though, so just keep that in mind. Probably not for middle grade. Maybe it would be fine for middle grade, I don't know. But anyways, regardless, yeah. So next, we'll talk about Once Upon a Kprom by Kat Cho, which we are about to discuss on my channel Saturday. Today is Thursday. I didn't even say what is today. Thursday, July 27th. So I still have a couple days left in the month, but I'm not going to have time at the end of the month to do this video. So regardless, this was a 3-star book, and it's exactly what the cover sells. Exactly what the cover sells. Very dreamy, very wholesome and sweet about a girl who... She's kind of like a prom Grinch. She's trying to convince her school to spend money on a local community center instead of on prom. And she's just like, you can just hang out with your friends at home instead of spending thousands of dollars for the perfect prom night. Just donate that money instead to this community center that's struggling. And I love her heart. I love that she's such a volunteer focused person. And she's very smart, and I think she's very Korean American, like, in the way she relates. Her name is, what is her name? Elena Sue. She does seem very Korean, but she's kind of embracing a little bit of her Americanness in this one and trying to go her own way, even though it's not exactly what her parents had picked out for her. So regardless, she's a bit of a prom Grinch because her childhood friend, Robbie, promised to bring her to prom, but then he moved away to Korea and became a Korean pop star and never talked to her again since then. So when Robbie appears on her front doorstep and gives her a promposal before her junior prom, she's like shocked and she just refuses him because she's like, that's way too much publicity for me. Thanks, but no thanks. I do not want to be going to prom with, somebody as famous as you, especially because you stopped talking to me and I just, yeah. So it's fun. I really enjoyed this. Really, the plotting is what I loved. But the characters weren't honestly bad. They were a little bit inconsistent at times. Like I said, it didn't wow me. The writing was kind of juvenile. But since I just listened to it on audiobook, that didn't really bother me that much. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. This was fun. 3 stars. Can't wait to discuss more. Let's see. Kpop Confidential. This, I think, is going to be another favorite book of the year. This was obviously another K-Torp fun pick. I read a lot this month. I'm pretty proud of myself. Kpop Confidential by Stephen Lee. Stephen Lee is a journalist who did some projects on K-pop. He actually flew to Korea from America. I forget who he was writing for, like BuzzFeed or something. And he was the only Asian writer on staff, and he wasn't a fan of K-pop. He'd kind of tried to shed his Korean identity growing up so that he could feel more American, which is, I think, a really common thing that Korean Americans and Asian Americans have talked about, which is they don't want to associate with their weird as what they think. They think it's weird to be, like biracial and to love your heritage. Growing up, that's what they felt. I feel like today's teenagers maybe have a better sense of self, which is amazing. I'm so glad that we've come a long way in embracing biracial heritage in America. But regardless, he went to Korea and fell in love with K-pop after talking to industry insiders. And now he's like a super fan of K-pop and was invited by David Levithan to write this book, Kpop Confidential. And I've heard that it's kind of based on Blackpink, which I can kind of see. Like, I don't know if you can see, but this character with the blonde hair is like so rosé, and this character with the braids and like, I don't know, just her style, her her, like, I want to kill somebody expression is very Jenny to me. So yeah, I feel like this, yeah, and there's even this pose even is really similar to one of Lisa's poses. So yeah, I feel like it could be like a Blackpink almost kind of story, but regardless, we're following another Korean American girl. I think both of these girls are Korean heritage. I don't think they have any like American blood, you know, but they are Americans, if you know what I mean. So I don't know, that was kind of a sloppy way of saying it, sorry. But regardless, they're both like full-blooded Koreans. But this one, she has been spending her whole life just being very like agreeing with whatever her parents want for her life. But she really wants to be a singer, and her parents have not encouraged her in that. But she goes to try out at a K-pop tryout, basically. It happens in America near her home, and she gets picked out of thousands of applicants to come and train in Korea for like an upcoming girl group. And there were some things that weren't quite realistic as far as K-pop goes. You know, they don't really debut trainees after 3 months, for example. And that's something that happens in this book. I don't know of any trainee who's only training for 3 months and was debuted. It usually takes years, like multiple years of training together in order for a group to be even formed, much less debut. So, but that and one character's slight inconsistency are the only complaints that I had about this. I felt like it was so well researched. I really loved the female friendships. I really loved I just felt like this girl's attitude, I could really get behind it because you could tell she was a K-pop fangirl. It was fun. It was fun to read it. Versus I Guess I Live Here Now, which really felt like this is such a drag. And that wasn't really fun to read as somebody who's a big fan of all things Korean. So, but this one is definitely fun. I think I heard about this from Awona? Yeah, I think she's the one who mentioned this. Regardless, I started the second book, but so far it hasn't really taken off with as much of a bang. I think I just prefer hearing about the trainee process more so than what the next book is about, which is about reforming the trainee process, which, I mean, the trainee process is really grueling. But anyways, I loved this. 5 stars, 90%. Yeah, 90% out of 100. That's really high. The last thing that I've finished so far this month is The Most Dangerous Game by Richard Connell. And this is a short story. Let me pull it up for you. This is a short story that Chanel, I think, dang, I'm sorry. I should have written this down. But Chanel's, Chantel, not Chanel. Why am I thinking Chanel? Chantel's, so I don't know. Do you know who Chantel is? She's a booktuber. I'll link her down below. She's adorable. I really love her. We don't read anything similar at all. But, yeah. She met her friend Holly was on her live stream like last night. And they met, Holly asked everybody if they knew does anybody know what the story is where there's people trapped on an island and somebody is hunting them down and there's no way to escape the island? And I was like, whoa, that sounds amazing. I want to read that. And a bunch of us were like, let's read that. And it's just a short story that I've heard of but never read. And why haven't I read this? I need to read more by him. This was incredible. This was such a great short story that I loved. So yeah, I loved this. I guess this is my mystery for the month. I didn't end up reading any mysteries for Janelle-a-thon, and I did. I read a mystery, but this wasn't one that I associated with Janelle at all. The ones that I had associated with Janelle, I still didn't get to. I think I just was cramming a lot into 1 month with Kpop. But regardless, 5-star short story, 100%, no complaints. I loved the whole thing. So yeah. Okay, let's move on to. Okay, I have a lot of things I'm still in the middle of. But I'm not going to mention all those because I'll mention them whenever I finish them, assuming I finish them. So, okay, August TBR, let's talk about it. Legendary Readathon is in August. Yay, that's so exciting. I hope you guys are excited for it too. I can't wait. So, first of all, I do have some buddy reads though that I want to mention before I mention my Legendary Readathon. Oh, I think I forgot to write this down again. What is wrong with me? Did I even bring it back here? I don't think I did. Okay, well, did I write it down? Travels with Charley. I meant to mention this last month because I was planning to read it before the end of this month, and I'm already 20% through it. That is Travels with Charley by John Steinbeck, which I will be reading for my Short Classics for Charity book club pick. With Kate from the Literary Apothecary. I was just thinking, man, how did I forget Chantel's name? I think it's because I've never said her name out loud before, like on this channel or everything. I've just like seen it, read it a bunch of times. But anyways, yeah. Anyways, why am I still thinking about that? I don't know. This is anxiety, folks. Okay. So yeah, Kate and I are reading Travels with Charley. It's a delight! It's a delight! Why have I never read this? Why haven't I read Steinbeck since college? I absolutely need to read more Steinbeck. Wow, it's so adorable. It's funny. It's witty. It's concise. I love it. This is why I picked short classics as a theme this year. I love short classics. They're so much better for me than long classics. Regardless, yeah, Travels with Charley. Following John Steinbeck on a road trip of I think 3 months across the US with his dog Charley. If you're a dog fan, I think you would love this. Whether you like classics or not, Travels with Charley is for dog people. I hope you'll join us for that. Our book club meeting is going to be, I forgot, it'll be down below. August 10th? I don't know. It's in August. It's in early August. So yeah, that'll be a Zoom call. Let me know down below if you want to be on the Zoom call for Travels with Charley. I will send you the Zoom link. You just have to, I have to be able to send it to you via email, ideally, so that I can just send out one email with the link in it to everybody who wants to come. So if you want to come, email me at christylewisreviews@gmail.com, or I guess put your email in the comments or send it to me on Instagram, and I'll just add you to the list that way. So one of those two ways. Okay, what's next? Yeah, okay, the buddy reads. Other buddy reads I wanted to mention: The Way of All Flesh, which is a classic about why a man left Christianity. Let me see if I can find it here. This is going to be a buddy read with Kate Howe, and we are both reading it for out of our comfort zone. Is kind of for Tiffany's book bingo. Oh my gosh, it's not okay. This is as close as we're gonna get. So, The Way of All Flesh by Samuel Butler. Yeah. So I don't know if either of us are gonna like it or finish it. Yikes. But we're gonna do our best to get out of our comfort zone. I actually tend to get really interested in books like this because what is more interesting than people coming or losing faith, I guess. I'm probably more interested in that than anything. I don't know why I don't read more or consume more content about this, but it's fascinating to me why people gain faith or lose faith. I feel like losing faith is definitely my response to it is usually kind of, I guess, not how I like to come off generally. My response is generally like upset, I guess, because it does upset me if people leave the faith, because obviously that's happened in my real life. People I know who've left the faith, but it is important, so I'm excited to check that out. I don't know if excited is the right word, but yeah, we're gonna try it out. What else? Okay, I'm also gonna be reading Winter in Sokcho. Sokcho. Winter in Sokcho by Elisa Dusapin? I don't know. So this, I forget, I've read what this is about, but I forget what it's about. Yeah, I honestly don't know. But I'm going to be reading it with Una and Tiffany and somebody else. Sorry if you're that other person. I love you. We're all going to be reading it. Oh, I wrote it down. Stephanie. Yay. So Stephanie's going to join us. Yeah, I'm excited to get to this. This might be the first thing that I read, although I might start The Way of the Flesh. Okay, and then the other things that I will be reading are I want to read Joan of Arc by Mark Twain for Emma's book club. This will be for Legendary Readathon. This is going to be my retelling, this Joan of Arc. But I'm going to pair it with a biography because I don't know if there's actual early legends that I could read about it or what, but I'm sure that biographies will contain clips of that if it's out there. So the book that I'm planning to read is one that Tony recommended.
Am I allowed?
Oh, that scared me. That's my Beyond Story BTS memoir, which I'm still not finished with. So the one that Tony recommended was Joan of Arc by Helen Castor. I believe this is the one he recommended because that's the one that I had written down. I have some other ones. There's one called Joan of Arc by herself and her witnesses that was recommended online as like a really comprehensive one. I like comprehensive, so we'll see. But I definitely want to start with Helen Castor's. So, and then I also am planning to read. Oh God, I'm reaching up here. Oh, what did I do? Did I do something? I don't know. Hello. Okay, we're still good. Okay, New Moon by Stephanie Meyer. This is gonna be my pairing with the Vampyre short story by John William Polidori. So the whole purpose of Legendary Readathon is to pair early legends with retellings, later retellings. So it's kind of to get multiple perspectives on a story or a legend or history or whatever. You can really, it's a choose your own way sort of readathon, and we are doing a giveaway, so details I will link my announcement video down below if you want to hear the details. But I'm planning to read New Moon. Everybody else I think is planning to read the original Twilight, but I read that not that long ago, like maybe 2 years ago or something, and I just would rather read this one. I feel like when I was a teenager I just loved all the emo feels of this one, so I'm looking forward to that. And what else? Tiffany's book club for Claire's birthday is going to be reading. I want to grab it here. It's The Saturdays by Elizabeth Enright, but it's an adorable, cute cover that I wanted to show you. There we go. Yeah, I'm so excited that Claire wanted to read this and that it got chosen by the book club. I love this whole series, the Melendi Quartet. As a kid, I just really, really loved these. And I think even as an adult, I really enjoyed the ones I've reread. So fun. Love it. And other things. 3 Men in a Boat by Jerome K. Jerome is Kate House Patreon book. And I'm also, like I said, in the middle of tons of other things. So it's going to be another busy month for reading. I'm still reading Cloud Cuckoo Land and Moby Dick and Monster. And let me know down below if you're going to be joining us for Legendary Readathon, or if you have any other thoughts on what I've mentioned, or your favorite books of the month, or whatever you guys want to talk about. I love hearing your comments, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.